So hi, Angie B, and I'm here in the Theatre Royal in Windsor, and I've got the wonderful opportunity to sit down and have a quick chat with a very talented British character actress who I've followed for quite some time now, and I absolutely love her work, and that is the wonderful Wendi Peters.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Angie. That's really lovely.
You're welcome, and it's really kind of you to just give me a short bit of your time before performance.
Pleasure. Welcome to my glamorous dressing room in the Theatre Royal.
It's lovely, and what a wonderful outlook.
It's lovely out towards the river, and very lucky here. No, it's
Yeah.
very sweet. And one of my dogs came in last night, so he appreciated that as well. Up at the window, he was having a good look, so it was fun.
Oh, well, welcome to Berkshire. I know you're not a stranger to the county, so but here on the stage, back to, what you are renowned for.
Yeah, I mean, it's where I started. I trained in theatre mainly, did a lot of theatre, probably 12 years before I got Coronation Street. So it's lovely to be back doing the reason why I wanted to be in the business in the first place, really.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody is familiar with you, with your character role in Coronation Street as Scylla Battersby Brown.
Yes.
How could we forget you? I mean, that was just such a wonderful character that you played for such a long time. But now back to the stage. Tell us, this play, Bang Bang, what's it all about?
Well, I mean, Bang Bang, I was first approached, sent a script and asked whether I'd be interested in doing it. And you said, well, I've no idea what it's about. So I read it, and it's based on an old George Feydeau farce. And John Cleese has adapted it and written it. And it goes back to the late 1800s, Paris, just outside of Paris, and we end up in Paris for Act 2, about a middle-aged couple who he's having an affair. His friend, the doctor, wants to have an affair with his wife. And the usual thing that ends up in farce, everybody moving around and with each other. There's wardrobes, there's doors, there's guns, there's rifle, there's hares and rabbits.
Yeah.
It's very, very confusing, very, very funny. And I end up, my character is in Paris, lives in Paris, where the affairs are starting to happen. And she's the concierge of the actual building where they all end up coming to try and have their affairs. But she's not just a concierge. She used to be a countess, and things have gone horribly wrong for her because she had an affair with a lion tamer. Now,
Right.
It wasn't the fact that she had an affair. The count was very happy about that. He didn't mind her having affairs, but the fact he was a lowly lion tamer.
Yeah.
It was far beneath what she should be doing. So he divorced her, and consequently she's having to work as a concierge. So she's very much still thinks she's a countess, but has this nosiness around her. She loves the fact that there's so much going on in her flats, and wants to know everything about everybody.
I've seen a lot of the work that you've done before and read a lot about the work that you've done before, these character roles. You are no stranger to comedy, though, are you? I mean, do you feel really comfortable playing this kind of role?
That's what I love. I adore comedy. I grew up watching all those great British sitcoms of the 70s and 80s, and there was no greater thing than to be able to hopefully make people laugh, especially in today's things that are happening at the moment.
Right, yeah.
If you can come away and after 2 hours people are actually roaring in their seats and having such a good time, you've done a great job. But I do love my comedy. Yeah, I mean, I love doing straight stuff as well. I love doing that and musicals and everything. But there is nothing like making people laugh.
Absolutely. And so when you were first handed the script and you're first introduced to this play, obviously it's a no-brainer because it's been written by John Cleese, so that must have been a huge pull anyway. Once you'd obviously been sort of cast with this part, how soon after that did you find out about your fellow actors that you were going to be working with?
Oh, right. Probably a few weeks. I think once I'd accepted the job, with their then arranged photo shoots for things like the poster and the bit of publicity and the press. And it was once we got a date set for the publicity that we found out who else was going to be doing it. And so you don't turn up and go, it's you, don't like you, what are you doing here?
And how did you feel about that? Because obviously for everyone who's listening or whatever, the other stars are Tessa Peake-Jones and Tony Gardner. How did you feel?
Well, obviously I knew who they were, but I'd never met them and I'd never worked with them. We all have mutual friends because I'd done something with, obviously Tess is from Only Fools and Horses mainly, but lots of, brilliant theatre stuff and TV stuff, Grantchester and other things. But of course she'd done Fools with Sue Holderness, who played Marlene in Fools, who I'd worked with. So there's always somebody that you know. And Tony done Last Tango with a few people that I knew up there, and My Parents Are Aliens. And I admired both of their work so much. So it was fabulous to know that, you know, we were going to be working together.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great tie for all three of you because of all the credits and TV and stage that you've all done. So have you had some, obviously, direction from John Cleese?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I mean, he came over. We did, I think, 3 weeks rehearsal, and then he came over for the last week and then for the technical week in the theatre before we opened. And we were all a bit nervous, obviously, about him coming in. And, you know, it's that thing of, you know, he sat there and watched. We did a run for him. And you wake up that morning going, I can't believe I'm going to be doing a run of a play that he has written for John Cleese today. That's just scary. But then after we'd done the run, he absolutely roared and he loved it. And then we had days working with him, which was phenomenal. You know, it was like a masterclass, just watching him work, watching him in the bits that I wasn't in, sat as an audience member next to him, watching what he was watching, and just almost seeing his brain tick as to how. And it wasn't that we were doing things wrong. There were just tricks he would say. You know, split the difference in that beat you're leaving here. Turn your head just on 1 second later. It'll get a bigger laugh, and it works.
And that's the genius about a lot of these people. I mean, he's the king of slapstick British comedy, isn't he? But just those little tweaks and the timing makes such a difference, doesn't it?
And I think if you know Fawlty Towers and I'd watched them, being of an age, but I've just rewatched them, and the similarities of some of the things, and even, you know, some of the wardrobe stuff and everything else, which I do in it, you sort of go, oh my gosh, it's so. But it is all about the genius timing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes it's not until, I'm sure you agree, when you have to get up and stand as a performer and reenact that, how something so simple sometimes can be so difficult, can't it, to do because of timing?
Yeah, absolutely. And some days it works and some days it doesn't. And not necessarily just because of your timing, but audiences also react differently. And their timing is different. If when they laugh, if they don't laugh, if they do laugh, at what point they laugh in a line. So that can, I was going to say a weird word there, that can muck up your timing as well. So yeah, there's all those things. But that's live theatre. Yeah. That's the joy of it as well.
And that's how you work. You have to work on sort of reactions and things that are thrown at you there and then, which leads on nicely to my next question. I'm dying to ask, because with comedy and farce, obviously it gathers impetus, doesn't it? And you have audiences sort of with you on this journey, and usually the laughter builds, doesn't it? Have you had any bloopers or any things that have gone wrong that have really stuck in your mind?
There's been a few things. I mean, it's the usual things of we're in a different venue every week, so a different space, a different theatre. Some are flat stage, some have got rakes. So every theatre is slightly different. In fact, what happened here on the first night, I have a song in this. Don't ask me how I got a song.
Oh, there's a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't there originally when I accepted the job, and then suddenly I got this email from the director saying, how would you feel if, because farce is usually split into 3 acts. Where we put it into 2. So between Act 1 and Act 2 we have a big scene change because we moved to Paris for my character and the boarding house. So I have a song that John Cleese has written, and I can't even believe I'm saying that. John Cleese has written me a song, along with a fabulous musician called John Chambers. And I tell the story of my lion tamer. So the Countess comes on and tells all about the affair with the lion tamer. And in the meantime, the rest of the company, bless them, are changing the set. Oh. They're doing a scene change. And everything's on a revolve. All the panels are on revolves. It's very, very clever. However, on a rake, sometimes the panels don't quite like to revolve very well.
Right.
So the wardrobe, what will be the wardrobe, wouldn't work the other night, and I thought, and I could see out the corner of my eye, I thought they shouldn't be there at this point. What are they doing? I'll carry on singing. What they're doing.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Eventually they did it and got back. But then it wouldn't stick. So I went to shove him in the wardrobe, turned on it, and the wardrobe moved. So I flipped, and that. There's been lots of little things like that.
Yeah.
Tony Garner did a brilliant one the other day. He went to take a pair of trousers. It's no fast without trousers. Take a pair of trousers off the table, and as he pulled them off the table, there's a lovely china cottage that needs to be thrown at one point. And as he pulled the trousers away, the cottage dropped off the table. He caught it.
Oh,
he actually caught it. Got a round of applause and took a bow.
And that's probably one of the highlights that people remember. Is that sometimes it's fantastic, isn't it, when you have something that actually ends well. So like
and you go away and say, I was there when.
Yeah.
So I remember going to see Tell Me on a Sunday in Manchester when I was a child. My mum took me and my sister with Marty Webb.
Yeah.
I was there the night she swallowed a fly. We had to stop the show.
Oh, wow. So that's what you remember about Tell Me on Sunday is that moment. And I think we all do, don't we? We remember, but I think more so with professionals, actors, that's the one thing you have to do is think on your feet, haven't you? You haven't got time to think, oh, how am I going to sort this out? You just have to do it there and then.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so that was leading on nicely to, I've been reading, the reviews have been superb. Audiences' reaction.
I don't read them, but yeah, that's good.
Well, they have. They've been absolutely great.
Good.
I love the caption that I read about how John Cleese would like to be in it, but we're not going to let him, or something like that.
Yes.
I thought
That's
that was
how
really
we're
good.
selling it.
Yeah.
We're selling it as a fast by John Cleese. He wants to be in it, but we're not going to let him. No.
I thought that was superb. But the audiences are reacting well. Are you finding that it's been really well received wherever you've played?
Yeah, pretty much. And sometimes when you're touring with whatever, a play, a comedy, a musical, you find there are different reactions from different places. Different areas of the country. I'm going to put that really nicely. Different areas of the country react differently to things. But wherever we've been with this, it's just because we started in Exeter, then we went up to Peterborough, we've been back down here, we've been in Guildford. Everybody is loving it.
Yes.
And by the time you get to Act 3, or what is our Act 2, as fast does, it builds and builds and builds. And people, I'd sit in because I'm going to tell you, I'm not in Act 2. She's buggered off and stayed in Paris. So I used to sit and listen to Tano, and you hear this audience just absolutely going raucous, and it's brilliant. It's a lovely thing to hear.
Isn't it? It's one of the best feelings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think, obviously, current climate, people should get themselves down here and have some laughter. Don't you agree?
I absolutely agree. Obviously, there's a little bit of hysteria going on, and understandably for some things, it's not the best place to be in the world at the moment. But for a real hysteria, just come down to us at Theatre Royal and come and see us and have fun, because you will. I can guarantee you 2.5 hours of laughter.
Well, I certainly were looking forward to seeing it, and obviously we'll be promoting it to our listeners on Marlow FM.
I often pop to Marlow for lunch because I'm quite local.
Oh, loves Marlow.
Love Marlow. Yeah.
And so, we will do everything, and obviously encourage people to continue and follow you on your tour. So if they can't get to Windsor, then obviously wherever you're in. So I'm going to let you get ready now, Wendi. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. As you can see, my hair's not normally like this. I have got my hair in ready. And this big net on, like I'm going horse riding, keeping my curls
Well, you're in the right county for that, aren't you? I
absolutely.
mean, just around the corner. But one final question, totally off topic. I was dying to ask you before I let you go. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie myself, and I'm quite happy to sort of take on new challenges. But there is one thing that you have done that I don't think I could ever do. Adrenaline junkie, you jumped out of a plane with Jack Osborne at 9,000 feet. I mean, how did you do that?
It was crazy. I mean, it was one of those programs where I turned 40 that year and just went, you know what? I was asked to do it. Yeah, why not? Because the opportunities don't come along. And we had a series of tasks that we had to do over the whole week. It was in South Africa, and we ended up in Cape Town. And we had to do a bungee, and I couldn't do the bungee jump. I cried, and I went, no, I can't do that. That's really not safe.
No.
So by the time we got to the final one, which was jump out of this airplane over Table Mountain, I just felt like I had to do it. And it was tandem. It wasn't on my own, so I was strapped to somebody. Yeah. And I made them put me into the plane last, so I knew I had to be first out. So if I didn't jump, nobody else jumped. So I had to do it.
Wow.
And all you see on camera is me just going, "It is safe, it is safe, it is safe, isn't it? It is safe." But once I jumped, and especially once the parachute had released, the most amazing feeling.
Really?
And it was over Table Mountain, and just coming down, seeing that view was phenomenal. It really was.
Oh, well, I mean, respect to you. There's a lot of things I think I could do, but that's one thing I couldn't do. So, you know, I just thought, I've got to ask you about it. But well done, you.
Thank you.
Well, listen, all the best with the tour.
Thank you.
You know, it's wonderful to read such wonderful reviews. I know you say you don't read them, but they are good and they're out there.
Good.
And look forward to seeing your performance. And thank you so much for your time, Wendy.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All right. Bye.
Bye.